Bonjour, Kinamaginene, Ireland, and Dishnikas, and welcome to this production of the My Math Network. Today's edition, Chapter 9, Lesson 5, Add Unlike Fractions. We'll begin today's lesson by looking at yesterday's session, where we were using fraction tiles to do this. And you can see that 1/4 and 2/4. 1/2 became 2/4, plus 1/4 is 3/4. A half is 3/6, plus 1/6 is 4/6, which rounds down to 2/3. After school, Maurice walks a third of the mile to the park, a half mile to his house. Came out to 5/6 of a mile. So the next one, 11/12, 5/8 of a cup, a pound and 2/5 of sand. Fractions that have different denominators are called unlike fractions. And that wrapped that up. Today's assignment is going to be much like lesson 4, except now you're not required to use the fraction tiles. You will find common denominators and then go back to our adding rules. You can see that there's a chart and some test practice. Our essential question for chapter 9 is, how can equivalent fractions help me add and subtract fractions? I'm going to begin in outside of your book, so you don't have to have it on a certain page quite yet, although that will be coming up very soon. What is the relationship between the least common multiple and adding unlike fractions? Simple answer, you're going to need the least common multiple to find common denominators to make them like fractions. We do not add unlike fractions. We need to make them like fractions. Story problem here. Noah backed up 1/5 of his computer memory. Then he backed up 3/4 of his computer memory. How much of his computer memory has Noah backed up? Let's follow the steps. Find the least common denominator. The least common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20. A little trick is that if you can't think of it, you could just multiply the two, because we know that 4 and 5 will both go to 20, because 4 times 5 is 20. But you may end up having to simplify a little more on the flip side. The least common denominator is going to be the same as the least common multiple, which is 20. So now I know what my denominator needs to be. Using that story problem here. With the denominator of 20. Five goes into 20 4 times. So I multiply top and bottom by 4. 1 times 4 is 4, and 5 times 4 is 20. Over here, I'm going to multiply them by 5/5. Remember, 5/5, 4/4 both equal 1. So it's going to be an equivalent fraction. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 5 is 15. Now I add the like fractions. 4 over 20 plus 15 over 20 equals 4 plus 15 is 19. 20 plus 20 is, oh, don't you dare. Remember, we don't add denominators. We just keep them. So the Noah has backed up 19/20ths of his computer memory. Let me go ahead and clear this drawing. Let's head into the book portion. And this will be at the top of page 637, the My Math packet. It is labeled Lesson 5 Add Unlike Fractions. During this video, you should fill in as we go. That'll create an artifact that you will be able to use when you complete the assignment. During the video, there will be parts where I've written in. I will give you a heads up that I'm about to clear the screen by saying that I'll clear the screen. And if you need more time, that's a good opportunity to hit pause, finish writing it in, and then unpause the video and move on. During practice problems, it's also advisable that you pause the video while you figure it out and then unpause the video. That allows for us not to have some dead air and also allows you to take the time that you need to solve the problem. So beginning on 637, we have example basic. And before I start, I see there's a helpful hint. The least common denominator, LCD, is the least common multiple of the denominators. In the afternoon, the octopus swam for In the morning, an octopus swam for 1/3 of an hour. In the afternoon, the octopus swam for 1/4 of an hour. How long did the octopus swim altogether? So our problem is find 1/3 plus 1/4. First thing I need to do is find a common denominator. The lowest common denominator or least common multiple of 3 and 4 is going to be 12. And you could see that they multiplied 3 times 4 to get this 12 and 1 times 4 to get 4. Notice you have to multiply top and bottom by the same. And over here, we multiplied the numerator and denominator both by 3. So we get 3/12. Now we have 4 plus 3, which is 7, and over 12. Go ahead and fill that in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and clear the screen. So as you recall, we had 4/12 plus 3/12, which was 7/12. The octopus swam for 7/12 of an hour altogether. These models show basic, niche, Nisway, Niwa, Nanan, Good Westway, Niche Westway, 7/12. And you see how it all works out. Go ahead and write that in. All right, I'll go ahead and clear the drawing. See the answer there. Example niche. Catalina spent 1/10 of her free time reading and 4/5 of her free time practicing her flute. What fraction of her free time did she spend reading and practicing her flute? You could estimate 0 plus 1 equals about 1. Although in all honesty, that's something you might just pop out in your head, and you probably won't do a lot on actual assignments. Next thing I notice is that 5 goes into 10. So I'm going to keep this 1/10 just as it is. Multiplying it both numerator and denominator by 1 is just a waste of time. So now I have 4 times 2 and 5 times 2 because we needed to get this over here to a 10. So 1/10 plus 4 plus 2 times 2 is 8. 1 plus 8 is 9. Notice I've already written the 10 because, again, we don't add the denominators ever. Go ahead and write that in. Give you a few more seconds. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and clear the drawings. And a 9/10, that is pretty close to 1, so it meets our original estimate. All right, here's where you're going to practice. Remember, when we practice, we will pause the video, solve it, and then unpause it. Don't forget to first find out the common denominator, and don't forget to simplify. Do numbers 1 and 2, and you may pause the video now. Welcome back. Let's see how we did. This 5 and 2, the least common multiple is 10. So 4/10 plus 5/10 is 9/10. 4 goes into 8. So we're going to multiply this by 2. 6/8 plus 1/8 is 7/8. How can benchmark fractions and number sense be used to check answers? If I was adding 1/10 plus 1/10, and suddenly I got like 11/10, I know that, well, that don't make sense. Those are almost 0, and all of a sudden I've got over 1. So that's one example. And number sense, it's something you should be really applying, well, every chance you get. All right, let's practice these 3. Don't forget, again, find the common denominator. And don't forget to write each sum in simplest form. You may pause the video now. Welcome back. 1/3 and 1/5, we get to 15. So 5/15 plus 3/15 is 8/15. These will go to 10. 5/10 plus 2/10 is 7/10. Over here, it's going to go to 12. So 5/12 plus 3/12 is 8/12. Divide top and bottom, or numerator and denominator, by 4, and you get 2/3. At this point, I'm going to send you to your assignment. Don't forget to look at the homework helper before you begin. Add, write each sum in simplest form. Do your story problems. Make sure you're understanding what they're asking. Using those strategies are a good idea no matter what. There's a story problem here, and don't forget your test practice. If you have any questions, please reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to help. Otherwise, have a minute, you got Minwa, Bama P.